What skills can teachers bring to micro-private equity? Micro-private equity, MPE, is a relatively young but increasingly prominent investment model that focuses on buying, managing, and growing small businesses. These are typically firms with annual revenues between £15 million, too small for traditional private equity houses to consider, but large enough to support professionalization and growth. The model is distinguished by its hands-on nature. Investors are expected not merely to deploy capital but also to roll up their sleeves, improve operations, and drive sustainable value creation. It is often assumed that only those with backgrounds in finance, consulting, or entrepreneurship are suitable for this kind of work. Yet, on closer inspection, another professional group appears surprisingly well prepared: teachers. Although they may lack direct experience in mergers, acquisitions, and deal structuring, teachers possess a wealth of transferable skills that map neatly onto the demands of micro-private equity. This essay explores those skills in detail, examining how teachers' communication, leadership, problem-solving, adaptability, empathy, data literacy, organization, and mentoring abilities can be leveraged in the MPE context. It also considers the challenges teachers might face, and concludes by arguing that far from being outsiders, teachers may be among the most effective practitioners in the micro-private equity space. 1. Communication skills. At its core, teaching is about communication. Every lesson is an exercise in translating complex ideas into accessible, memorable, and actionable content. Teachers spend years refining the ability to tailor explanations to varied audiences, whether engaging a room of energetic teenagers or guiding parents through performance reports. In MPE, this ability is indispensable. Investors must articulate their growth vision to employees, many of whom may be anxious about the changes an acquisition brings. They must also negotiate with vendors, explain strategies to banks, and occasionally pitch to co-investors. A teacher's instinct for clarity and patience is invaluable in these moments. Consider, for instance, a teacher used to breaking down the periodic table for a mixed ability science class. That same skill set, simplifying the complex without dumbing it down, directly applies when explaining new workflow systems to employees who have always done it this way. Communication here is not an optional extra, it is the glue that binds strategy to execution. 2. Leadership and influence. Teachers lead every day, though not always in the hierarchical sense of issuing orders. Leadership in education often means influence, persuasion, and inspiration. A teacher inspires students to care about Shakespeare, to persevere with fractions, or to behave responsibly, not through brute authority but through charisma, fairness, and credibility. In micro-private equity, newly acquired businesses rarely respond well to authoritarian leadership. Staff may be suspicious of outsiders taking over and resistant to imposed change. Success requires influence, relationship building, and the ability to win hearts and minds. Teachers are uniquely skilled at this, having honed techniques for inspiring reluctant learners and fostering collective purpose. Moreover, teachers are comfortable with leading groups of diverse personalities. A classroom might include the highly motivated, the disengaged, the disruptive, and the quietly diligent, all of whom must be managed simultaneously. This translates directly to managing a business workforce, where different departments, personalities, and priorities collide. A teacher's capacity to balance these competing demands makes them effective leaders in complex organizational settings. 3. Problem-solving and creativity. Few professions demand such constant improvisation as teaching. Lessons rarely proceed exactly as planned. A fire alarm interrupts. A student challenges an assumption. A planned group activity flops. Teachers must think on their feet, generate alternatives, and keep the class engaged. Micro-private equity is equally unpredictable. Businesses are acquired precisely because they are underperforming, inefficient, or underdeveloped. Problems such as outdated processes, poor customer retention, or skills shortages are common. A teacher's creative mindset, finding a dozen different ways to explain Pythagoras' theorem, proves surprisingly effective when devising new marketing campaigns or operational improvements. Importantly, teachers are trained to approach problems from multiple perspectives. They ask not simply what works for me, but what will work for this learner. Applied to MPE, this means considering the customer's perspective, the employee's needs, and the broader market context, leading to more empathetic and sustainable solutions. 4. Adaptability and lifelong learning. Education is a profession in constant flux. New curricula are introduced, assessment systems revised, technologies adopted, and student demographics change year on year. Teachers are therefore accustomed to adapting continuously and learning on the job. MPE requires the same flexibility. No two businesses are alike. One acquisition might be a manufacturing firm with supply chain issues, the next a digital marketing agency with staff turnover problems. An ability to adapt strategies and absorb new knowledge quickly is vital. Teachers also embody lifelong learning. From training days to postgraduate qualifications, they are accustomed to professional development. This ingrained habit of learning equips them to master new business domains, financial concepts, or technological tools with relative ease. In fact, many teachers enjoy the challenge of learning something new, which can make the steep learning curve of MPE more of an opportunity than an obstacle. 5. Empathy and emotional intelligence. A classroom is as much an emotional environment as an intellectual one. Teachers must manage students' anxieties, celebrate achievements, and handle conflicts, all while maintaining professional boundaries. Emotional intelligence, patience, and empathy are non-negotiable. These same qualities are vital in micro-private equity. Employees in acquired businesses often feel vulnerable, fearing redundancies or cultural upheaval. A leader who shows empathy, listens to concerns, and communicates reassurance will secure trust far more quickly than one who simply issues directives. For example, a teacher accustomed to handling a tearful student worried about exams has developed precisely the kind of listening and support skills needed to guide a nervous workforce through a transition. Empathy builds loyalty, and loyalty in turn underpins business resilience. 6. Data literacy and assessment. Modern teaching is increasingly data-driven. Teachers analyze exam scores, track progress against benchmarks, and identify patterns in performance. They combine quantitative evidence with qualitative impressions to form well-rounded judgments. In MPE, data is king. Assessing a business requires poring over financial statements, operational metrics, and customer data. While teachers may lack formal financial training, their comfort with data analysis, identifying patterns, drawing conclusions, and acting on evidence, provides a solid foundation. Crucially, teachers are used to translating data into action. Spotting a weakness in spelling leads to a targeted intervention plan. Noticing a dip in customer retention should lead to a revamped loyalty scheme. The logic is the same, even if the subject matter differs. 7. Organizational and time management skills. Few professions demand such relentless multitasking as teaching. Lesson preparation, marking, data entry, parent communication, and pastoral care must all be juggled daily. Deadlines are immovable, and time is always scarce. In micro-private equity, investors face similar pressures. The acquisition process involves coordinating with lawyers, accountants, and brokers while simultaneously planning operational improvements. Once a business is acquired, managing staff, monitoring performance, and implementing strategy all compete for attention. Teachers' experience of balancing competing demands equips them well for this environment. 8. Mentoring and talent development. At heart, teachers are developers of people. They identify strengths, nurture potential, and provide feedback that builds confidence. This instinct translates directly into the business world, where employees need training, support, and opportunities to grow. In micro-private equity, investing in people is often the fastest way to unlock growth. A teacher's ability to create training frameworks, mentor staff, and celebrate progress helps build a motivated, capable workforce. Moreover, their experience in scaffolding, breaking down learning into manageable steps, is equally effective in helping employees acquire new skills incrementally. 9. Ethical orientation and social responsibility. Teaching is underpinned by a strong ethical framework. Safeguarding, fairness, and acting in the best interests of pupils are fundamental responsibilities. This ingrained ethical orientation is increasingly valuable in today's business world, where environmental, social, and governance (ESG) considerations matter greatly. Micro-private equity operates at a community level. Businesses are small, employees are local, and reputations are easily won or lost. Ethical leadership is therefore crucial. Teachers, with their background in fairness and community-mindedness, are naturally inclined to balance profit with responsibility. This can make them trusted stewards of smaller enterprises, which depend on reputation as much as revenue. 10. Storytelling and vision. Finally, teachers are natural storytellers. They weave narratives that make history, science, or literature compelling. Storytelling is also a powerful business tool. Leaders in MPE must articulate a clear vision, inspire employees, and persuade investors. A teacher's skill in capturing attention, structuring narratives, and conveying enthusiasm is invaluable here. Whether explaining the journey of a small manufacturing firm to its staff or pitching growth potential to co-investors, the ability to tell a compelling story can secure buy-in and alignment. Challenges and limitations. None of this is to suggest that teachers can transition seamlessly into micro-private equity. Challenges remain. Most lack direct training in corporate finance, valuation models, and deal structuring. The technical language of EBITDA multiples, debt covenants, or tax optimization may initially feel alien. Yet these technical aspects can be learned or supported by professional advisors. What cannot be so easily taught are the human, organizational, and leadership qualities teachers possess in abundance. If anything, teachers entering MPE may benefit most from complementary partnerships, teaming up with individuals who bring financial expertise, while they focus on operations, culture, and growth. Case illustrations. Imagine a retired head teacher acquiring a small chain of nurseries. Their expertise in curriculum design, safeguarding, and staff development positions them perfectly to professionalize operations, ensure compliance, and market the business to parents. Financial structuring may require external help, but the day-to-day value creation sits firmly within their skill set. Or consider a secondary school teacher acquiring a local print business. Used to organizing chaotic classrooms, they quickly streamline workflows, introduce staff training programs, and establish clear communication systems. While accountants advise on tax efficiency, the teacher's influence ensures morale, productivity, and customer service all improve, driving sustainable growth. These examples underline a crucial point: financial engineering alone rarely grows small businesses. What matters most is leadership, culture, and operational excellence, areas where teachers excel. Conclusion: micro-private equity is often perceived as the preserve of finance professionals, but this assumption overlooks the skills required to make businesses succeed after acquisition. Teachers, with their deep experience in communication, leadership, problem-solving, adaptability, empathy, data analysis, organization, mentoring, and ethics, are uniquely positioned to excel in this space. While they may initially lack technical knowledge of finance, their transferable skills are not only relevant but arguably decisive in small business environments, where people and culture matter as much as numbers. With the right partnerships and a willingness to continue learning, teachers can thrive in micro-private equity and bring a fresh, human-centered approach to the sector. In the end, both teaching and MPE are about growth. Teachers nurture the growth of individuals, investors in MPE nurture the growth of small businesses. The parallel is striking, and suggests that those who have spent years shaping future generations may also be exceptionally well suited to shaping the future of small enterprises.